This is an Australian Living Labs Innovation Network presentation. Our mission is to promote Living Labs in Australia, develop the practitioner base, and foster collaboration opportunities with Living Labs everywhere. Today we're talking to Susanna Bodie and Paolo Visano, the Association Manager and the Network Manager at the European Network of Living Labs based in Brussels.
Well, I start by saying that there is indeed plenty of information on our website, so I will share first the details, and then more can be said or read. But we open every year a wave, an annual wave, to welcome new organizations on board. So interested organizations are asked to pre-register on our website, which means giving some basic information about themselves. And then they will receive an application form that needs to be filled out with plenty of information about the organization, what they do, what is their core activity, what are their key team members, what's their business model. We basically want to know how the organization works to figure out whether this can be defined as a living lab or not. So this 10-page document is written by the applicant and then assessed by a so-called evaluation committee that we put in place yearly to have a very high-quality assessment of all these applications. So normally every year we receive some dozens of applications from all over the world, and I think around 45–40% of them are accepted on average, which makes you understand that not everyone goes through, because not necessarily all applicants have the minimum pre-requirements to be defined as a living lab, but still, even the ones that are not accepted are of course invited to apply again, because in several cases the fact of continuing activities year by year can allow them coming in perhaps after 1 or 2 years when their organization is more stable and their living lab activities are more mature.
So are there any particular areas that people tend to fall down on in the application process?
It's kind of difficult to say, because as Susanna was saying, living labs are very transversal, so they work on different areas. So every lab that doesn't go through is somehow weak, sometimes in different areas. Some examples: there are some labs that are very good in the quadruple helix model, so in involving different actors of the local ecosystem, but perhaps they are not so connected to people and citizens. Just to make an example.
The user panel is weak.
Another thing that happens often is the fact that some labs kickstart their activities through a project, which is fantastic, and we do respect that, but we kind of lack their sustainability strategy, their business model. So they're actually doing something on the go, and they want to apply, but in order to accept them in enoll, we want to see if there might be stability, because if you accept a member, we would like it to be present in enoll for a few years. So we need to see that the lab has also the potential and the strength to continue its activities for years and years. And sometimes this business model is a bit weak or not ready enough. And there might be also other.
I remember that there were cases where the infrastructure part was not necessary, but that's less relevant or less important, I would say.
Sometimes what also happens is that, and that's something to pay attention to, that the application form is not written with the necessary care, so to speak, which means that not enough explanations are given on the activities of the lab, and if that is not done, the evaluator reads the document, doesn't have enough info to understand what the living lab does, and as a consequence gives a negative mark. So when applying, you need to consider that the 10-page document is the Bible that allows us understanding what you are as a living lab. So if it is not written with extreme care, that might bring to negative results.
So are there any other
benefits that you'd like to tell potential applicants, for membership at this?
Before going further, I would also like to highlight that there are different types of membership. So, Paulo was mentioning the adherent, the light engagement with the network, but we also have other two membership areas, which we call effective members and innovation partners. These categories are offered either in case of effective members to more matured living labs who are in the network and engaged with enoll for a longer time, and they really want to work closely with us, for instance, on these European funded projects or globally funded projects, and to do research type of activity closer, and to work on such initiatives like the next manifesto, or I could list the positioning papers and so on. And innovation partners are a different kind of partner in a way that they are not necessarily living labs, but they really want to be engaged with the network, learn from all the knowledge that is there. And they bring an additional element or knowledge that is also beneficial for the network to be present. So we have also these two extra pillars that I think is important to mention, because they benefit from even more services. As Paolo was mentioning, on the website there is quite a detailed list available on the different kind of packages or advantages that a member can benefit from. But very quickly, when we speak about adherent membership or the light engagement, we always highlight this internationalization aspect, so the peer connections and the transnational experimentation facilitation. So we act like a little bit like a broker to our members. Then you can become part of a community of experts. We have these so-called expert groups or special interest groups that are really bottom-up movements led by people, or not only led by, moved by people with the same interest. And for this, we have different thematic areas. Then, well, I cannot highlight more, but really the enoll label is like it acts like a quality stamp, and we are in the work of making it even more stronger, so that whenever you refer to it to your clients, it will be shown as a certificate, a quality certificate of, it's like an ISO certification in a way, and yeah. I think, and it's a great community. It's more like a family.
Indeed. And so for the adherent members, the ones that join through the wave, the fact of being part of this community of experts is of course a strong added value, because you link to people that have your own interests and goals. Whereas then it is of course much more than that, but just to give it like a main title. And when you go to the full memberships of effective members and innovation partners, I think that our list of services becomes in a way more customized, because every full member joins enoll having one main goal that is different. So by talking to them, we understand what they want to achieve. Whether sometimes it can be international visibility, sometimes it can be more European projects, sometimes it can be building more international cooperations, and depending on that specific goal they want to achieve, we do our best to support.
Yeah. And yeah, I think maybe something that we were not really highlighting, but enoll Office is focusing a lot on communications. So really, this international visibility, I think that's a very important point for New Living Labs, because we have a strong base of subscribed newsletter readers, social media channel followers. So it's like newsletter wise it's a few thousand people, social media wise we speak about almost 10,000 or more, so it's quite a strong and active base that is following our labs activities, and we have dedicated people who are really making their best so that your results are shown worldwide. And I think it's important for business and for many other reasons, recognition.
Do you think, there's the potential for living labs in Australia, the potential benefits?
by joining the European network, right?
Well, Living Labs forming in Australia, but also in joining the network.
Mm-hmm. I answer to the transnational part, or so I bring some of some ideas. That's something that we also started between us, is that showing through our collaboration to policymakers that there is a need also to support from a higher level this kind of transnational and transcontinental knowledge exchanges are very beneficial for both parties. So I think it's also kind of a bottom-up movement in this sense that by joining forces in such a network, it has to be translated to policymakers to support it from their point of view, you know, by following the same example, but also allowing some funds to make the next step in such a collaboration. And yeah, I think it's really about the knowledge exchange, and also to open up markets or create markets for you in Europe or in North America, in some cases Africa, where our labs are present.
Yeah, and in the dialogue with the Australian members we understood that the concept is still relatively new over there, and that at the same time there is quite some interest to discover it. So I think we can say that from the enoll side there is a very strong willingness to support this process and to welcome new living labs on board, but also to collaborate more intensively during the next months and during the next years.
Lovely. Yes, as I said before, you've both been very, and enoll as a whole, very supportive of what we're trying to do with all in.
Maybe I invite you and all who are watching this message to Open Living Lab Days, because there you don't have to be a member to join. It's open for everybody. That's why it's Open Living Lab Days. And I think everybody can learn a lot from more experienced experts. And it's a very fun and nice event to join.
And it's true that the Australian delegation that joined us during the last years have always brought a very interesting and new contribution to the community. So in that sense, I look forward to meeting people from Ellen in Krakow.
Wonderful. Well, we'll definitely be sending someone. So, cool.